Welcome and thank you for clicking on my video. And this week could be terrifying for the market. Really, every single week in April, we have the potential for this to turn around, for momentum to die out and get some kind of correction, if not some kind of stock market crash. So we have to pay attention to some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta today. And we got those new risk ranges up for the week and the daily risk ranges. So we're going to give those to you right now. Let's get into it. Before we get started on the SPY here, I just wanted to show you why we have to be a little bit scared going into April. Just for some kind of correction, if we're not going to get some kind of big bad news, then we can see some kind of correction, maybe to come test this 50 down here, coming down to that bottom of the monthly expected move here. We actually do have the SPY monthly expected move here as well on our charts. So we want to pay attention to that, pay attention to this white line going across. That's when CPI comes out. But do we see some kind of correction before that and then we see that go up, or do we keep building higher and higher and then we see that as some kind of rug pull in the future? You just want to be a little bit cautious. It looks like some kind of pullback, some kind of maybe even corrective move could be in the market going forward into April, just because this momentum is really starting to die out, and maybe one more push higher, we can figure out if we're going to see some kind of pullback. So we want to go into the shorter time frames for the SPY, but first I wanted to say another reason that you want to be a little bit worried is just because of the confirmation of Microsoft. Remember, we use these tech stocks to find a lot of tops and bottoms. And last time we were able to use Apple down in this area for that bottom. You can see Microsoft gave you this divergence here as well. Apple actually had a triple divergence. So we used Apple to know, hey, this is going higher. Then we know, okay, now we're most likely going to use an all-time high as a trap. And that very well could still be happening at this point. We are still seeing euphoria in the overall market, but I just wanted to show you how we are now seeing that same Apple signal on Microsoft to the downside. So we have triple divergence up here on the MACD. We have that divergence real steep here on the RSI. We can get little moves up, but once you break through this area here, this has officially confirmed, so we can go into negative territory. That's why we have to be a little bit worried, and it looks like April is shaping up to be where we're going to see some kind of corrected move, if not some kind of crash, maybe starting a bear market. So let's go into the SPY and give you guys those weekly ranges. So we're going to start off with a 30-minute, and then we'll go into a 2-hour. But first off, I just wanted to make sure that you have those weekly ranges first. Okay, so the weekly range to the upside here, we have 529.50, and then we have 516.64 to the downside. So you can see this is all the options market has priced in, a pretty good size move. So if we do get excited early on Monday, maybe come up and test these levels up in here. Be a little bit cautious, as we do have that 68% chance to land back within this purple zone. So if we come back outside of this, right, if we pop up to the upside very early on in the week, good chance that we're going to see that fade or at least consolidate down back into this zone by close on Friday. Now, as far as Monday goes, we want to pay attention to the daily expected moves. That would be 526.61 to the upside, and we have 519.63 to the downside. So what could be happening here, as you're looking at the 30-minute chart, having that divergence, but we're seeing the futures market seeing a little bit of a bounce, especially in the Qs, or at least the US 100. We can see there is divergence here, but if that doesn't confirm, it hasn't confirmed, hasn't gone negative, so we could see another positive move. But would that just create this divergence to extend for a little bit, and then we see that fade? That's what we'll pay attention to on Monday when we are live. So tune in for our live video. Come in, you guys ask questions, you like, you subscribe. You guys are fantastic, and I love doing that for you guys. But we notice this is a cup. Maybe we're just consolidating for that handle. I just would have liked a little bit more of a handle going into this week to see that positivity. Okay, so the 30-minute, you're noticing we do have this possible double top, but we are seeing positivity in the futures right now, so that might be invalidated. The 2-hour one that we're paying attention to as well had that divergence, but it wasn't confirmed yet. This hasn't confirmed yet, so that means we don't yet have that potential to go into negative territory, go into a negative trend. So as of right now, we have to say, maybe if this does want to see some upside, maybe we create a divergence in the future. Maybe we see positivity like this, and we kind of do something like this that gives us a divergence before we get to CPI. We'll be paying attention to a lot of this live. A lot of this we have to pay attention to live, because nobody knows which way the stock market is going to go. We're just telling you guys from a probability perspective, this is highly probable in this area to actually get a corrective move at this point. It's one of the times where we need to be paying attention, and we want to see if this is able to confirm as far as tomorrow goes. Daily scale, the Qs do have all those divergences as well. So we're just going to go right into the 2-hour here, the 451.65 to the upside for your weekly expected move, 436.37 to the downside for that weekly expected move. So as of right now, we don't have that 2-hour divergence on the Qs, and that very well could happen very soon. We could see that pop up to this area. Sorry, we're making tea upstairs. But we could see that pop up into this area and get some kind of 2-hour divergence. If we see that outside of this weekly expected move, you bet your bottom dollar, we're going to be notifying you about this on Patreon. So if you want these weekly expected moves, as they could become very, very important in April, go down in the description, join Patreon. We give you the expected moves for every stock that we cover. But the Qs, since they're seeing that upward price action in the futures right now, we could be seeing some kind of move up. Pay attention early on Monday. If we go test some of these levels, test this zone in here, because the daily acts the same. The daily expected move, right? 448.33 to the upside, 439.63 to the downside. So as we are seeing positivity, if we gap above this level, we can use it as support to then head a little bit higher. But is a divergence going to be created up here? That's what we're going to pay attention to live. The 30-minute here, you're noticing one thing. I mean, this thing actually still able to curl down into negative territory. So if we somehow see those futures give all those gains up right now, and we see us pull back down, well, we can pay attention to the bottom side of our daily expected move. We can pay attention to the bottom side of our weekly expected move. But you're seeing this close to the center line. That tells you this could really go either way from here. Is this, some consolidation to head higher? That's what it looks like at this point, right? And I would really pay attention if we're able to come up into this area and see some structure. So if we do gap higher, we can use this as support to head higher. But if we say come up into this area here and then we start to base out, this still would look good from a grabbing liquidity, a head and shoulders perspective to the upside. So we have to pay attention to upside. As long as these MACDs keep rolling up and going positive, we are going to see more positivity in the overall market. So we need to look out for the time to pay attention, and we're going to go over that Monday morning. 2 hour, the last thing I just wanted to point out here was the fact that this could just be some kind of rejection up here. If we get excited like this and then we reject, this could double top. So that's one little option on Monday that we can pay attention to, because if you get excited outside of this range here, sure, you can use that as support, but if we go up and then use it as resistance, we can see that fade back down. So what we're going to want to pay attention to is this actually crossing into positive territory. That would give you a better sign that this has a longer move in it. But is that just going to set up a divergence? That's what we really need to pay attention to here. So we're going to go over into Apple right now, and Apple on the shorter time frames, it's just negative, right? This is in a negative trend at this point. Doesn't mean we can't see a positive move. We've been telling you guys about the structure we've been seeing on the 30-minute. We've been saying this for a while now. Hey, if we break through, we've been saying this for a few days, if we break through this level down here, it could mean we're going even further down and keeping that negative trend, maybe testing this low down here towards 168.50. But we're not seeing that as of right now. In fact, we're seeing two possible things shape up: left head, maybe a right shoulder, and there's great liquidity in here as it's pretty tight, so we could see a big move. Maybe we want to go get up into this zone and see some kind of sell-off. That's where I'm going to pay attention to my weekly expected moves, and I'll be posting those to Patreon right after I post this video. So we just want to pay attention to if this heads up or if this heads down. And right now you'd have to say, with where the MACD is on the 30-minute, it could go either way. So we want to pay attention to the other direction as well. So if you're going to see this head down, most likely you're going to react down to this level and see some kind of pop. And that would give you this left head and then right shoulder. So there is a way up and a way down for Apple, and you just want to react based on the price action throughout the day. Tesla, as we look into it, still kind of flagging here, looking like it has a little bit of a divergence down here that we showed on the shorter time frames live. This is one that I just didn't want to mess around with. I didn't want to post it to Patreon and say, hey, this has to go higher on Monday, because we got that news and the market was closed. But as of right now, you can see we're towards that center line on the 30-minute. If we get this to roll up, this could be some kind of big ABC move, and maybe we see some positivity out of Tesla, because it does have these divergences. So the daily momentum is trying to shift upward right now, but we're seeing a bunch of wonky candles, right? A bunch of wonky candles in here. So this is not really strength here. If you want to see this as a strong move, you need to get a closing bar and then another closing bar, and most likely coming out of this little bit of flagging structure, right? You have the potential here for this to just crash back down. So we want to pay attention. If this is rolling over negative, then you're going to continue that negative trend, and we might head to 154.78 pretty quick. Okay, so Tesla, kind of the same as Apple, a little bit of a tricky one, because there's a way up, way down. So we just want to make sure, trade like water, react based on the price action. Don't try to predict exactly what is going to happen. We're giving you multiple options here. That way you can just react when that price action actually comes to fruition. And then we'll be talking about a lot of this stuff live. Amazon on the daily, this thing, if it's able to curl up, we can see a positive move. You can see the Bollinger Band's pretty tight up in this area. So that expansive move could be happening. And if that curls up on this MACD, well, we could go make a point of reference up here for this overall divergence to confirm on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So we want to pay attention to any upward move in Amazon, and that's where I'll be paying attention to my weekly expected moves for this one. The 2 hour is something we're really paying attention to. You're noticing it curl up. This could be a divergence right here, right now. We could be getting that flat divergence. We're still pretty close to negative territory. The longer we hover in this area, sure, we can keep seeing positive moves, but once we actually roll down into negative territory and stay there for a couple of rollovers, you're going to say, yeah, we're definitely in a negative trend and starting to stair step our way down. So it's a time to just be a little bit cautious to the upside, take that profit early and be trading like water, something we like to say on this channel. Before we get into NVIDIA, make sure that you are going down in the description. If you want to learn about these things, we do have that course up for just $100 for about 24 more hours. So we're going to leave it up for tomorrow because it is my dog Bruce's birthday, and he told me to leave it up for you guys for April Fool's Day. So you guys can still get that course for $100. Tomorrow is going to be the cutoff, and then that price is going to go up. So make sure to go grab that down in the description if you want to learn about some of these things. You literally have like less than a day left to get that course at this point. But looking at NVIDIA, we're just noticing, hey, we're still by that center line. If we get the 2 hour to curl up, we can go positive. The only thing here is we can go test maybe 1,000. We can go get up there. I'm going to be paying attention to those weekly expected moves on Patreon, but we're looking a little flaggy in here, right? So we want to pay attention maybe to the shorter time frames here, seeing how we're in negative territory. We're in negative territory on NVIDIA right now. So maybe we want to set up some kind of divergence before we get a bounce. So if this wants to roll down, you can see we're negative. So that means we're going to most likely break this low, go test a new one. And I would think that we're going to go down and test something like 840. I think that's possible. Maybe we want to remain a little bit higher and test something like 854, something in there. But really, all I have to do is pay attention to this MACD. If I roll down and I roll back up, well, maybe I get a little divergence here. And then maybe that's the moment that the 2 hour actually wants to curl up with NVIDIA. So if I was wanting to get positive on NVIDIA, I would wait for that 2 hour to curl up. If I see some negativity and I wanted to maybe play a last upside move, well, then I could see maybe some kind of divergence if that price action gives it to me. So we'll be watching NVIDIA pretty closely. AMD, this one's one that probably will see an explosive move. We've built up a ton of liquidity in this area. And really, I wanted to bring up a 2 hour. The reason I wanted to bring up a 2 hour is because you see how it's still in negative territory. Okay, so if this just rolls over into negative territory, and I would say breaks through this low right here, you're most likely going to see lower prices. We could head all the way down to 164 to come fill this gap. Okay, so you want to pay attention to these types of things because negative territory, what do we like to do? We approach the center line, then we roll over and we see that next downward move. So right now you are in a negative trend on the 2 hour, so you have to pay attention to it. If this can start to go positive, well, maybe we want to see some days of positivity. AMD's really been beat down, but you notice it's still by positive territory. It's still right there. So if we get a few days worth of positivity, we can see a good move here. So we want to pay attention to if this is actually able to roll up this week. That's something that we'll be looking at live, but maybe that takes a full week to play out. So we have to pay attention to our weekly expected moves. Great tool to use for profit taking on a weekly basis if you are trading this stuff throughout the week. Now, Meta looking forward, this is one that actually rejected the crossing, right? Little different from Amazon, right? Amazon looks like it could see that it's still a cross upward. Meta telling you a little different story. This is coming down. Yeah, it's kind of consolidating like this, maybe making some kind of triangle. Maybe we keep making that triangle throughout the week, right? And then we see that curl up. But this is not a good sign. You're really rejecting this crossing. You're closing below the 20 and the 5, and they're about to cross. So if we start to lose this 50 and break through this area here, we can really start to drop through this area on the daily scale. That's something to pay attention to. But the 2 hour, I just want you to notice we're still pretty close to positive territory. Now, we're a little down in there, right? So we could get just some kind of lower high or some kind of test of this level up in here, right? So we want to pay attention to that. If it just rolls up, maybe we actually get a point of divergence up in here in the nearest price action. So maybe we get a little divergence right here that kind of hints like, hey, this daily wants to keep going down at this point, and that would kind of hint to me maybe that daily for Meta wants to go negative. So that's what I'll be paying attention to. Just to go into a 30-minute here for you real quick, I want you to notice how there is a very, very slight divergence here on the 30-minute. Okay, so you want to pay attention to this because this could roll up the 2 hour. Boom, you have a slight divergence here. Now that's getting rejected at this point. So if this wants to curl down briefly for a moment, we could see that set up a third point, and maybe that'll give us some kind of trade this week. So this is just something I'm paying attention to on Meta. Doesn't mean it has to go up, right? But if it wants to go up, Well, look at the structure, right? So if we create this head, we fully create the head down here. Maybe we pop up to this level, get that little left head and right shoulder to head upward for meta. So good to pay attention to both sides as we are moving still in a positive trend, but we're seeing some stuff start to slip into negative territory, starting to see that momentum maybe take over and die out, and therefore we could see some kind of corrective move in April. And if something really bad comes out for the market, like CPI print is pretty bad for the market, we can actually see us rip down pretty low pretty quick because we've gone up so much throughout this move without a significant pullback, without like a 5% pullback in the market. Volatility here, well, we're seeing a slight double bottom, right? We've seen that double bottom come up maybe down in this area, and we're also seeing that on the SPY at the same time. That's why we were a little bit worried about this weekend and why I didn't really post any, hey, go positive trades, right? I'm giving you these trades on Patreon when I feel like they are good setups, and therefore before a big event like Friday with Jerome Powell and things like that, I didn't feel it was a great setup. There will always be another one. Now, the thing about volatility here is getting close to the center line, so we do have potential to curl down one more time. Maybe we even get a reaction all the way down to 12.12 first, and then we set up that sturdy divergence down here, and then we go into positive territory. So I would just be looking for this 2 hour to go positive trend on volatility, and then see if this daily is able to curl up. Once this daily curls up again, you're seeing we're getting tighter and tighter here on the VIX. Really on the weekly scale, you're really tight at this point. So maybe we do get some kind of breakout retest and then break out of this one, and we head up towards 20. So we just want to pay attention to a lot of things, and that's why it's good to turn on your notifications, make sure you're subscribed, and come join us live so you can hear what's happening while we're seeing that price action move around. The main takeaway here is we have a whole new month ahead of us, and we have to be diligent. We have to still be trading like water until we really see which way the market wants to go, because right now it's just telling us, hey, we want to head a little bit higher. So every time we curl up on those MACDs, we can see those prices of all these stocks go higher. We need these to start some big negative trends in order to head lower. And maybe that will happen with some momentum dying out before CPI. Maybe the CPI comes out as good news for the market. We do not know. We just want to react, trade like water out there, and make sure to be taking profit a little earlier in an environment like this where it all could be ripped away, as the fear is very low. And you can see that from the VIX at a reading of 13. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to grab that course if you're interested in learning about these things. Like I said, we're just given one more day left. Overall, it's Bruce's birthday tomorrow. He's born on April Fool's Day. I felt like it would be a good opportunity for some people to get it while it's still at $100 during the live video tomorrow. So come and ask questions about that. If you're thinking about taking it, tomorrow would be a great time to come in and ask some questions about that course. But I just wanted to say I really appreciate you guys watching. You guys are always liking, subscribing. You guys are fantastic. You show up to the live videos. We have a lot of fun on there, and I encourage more of you to come on out because we really do have some fun and we find some good trade setups. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic night, and I hope you have all the luck in the world trading in April. Peace.